Right, I've got some of your messages which I will be sharing in the course of this discussion, but just maybe just a couple more. This one says, okay, let me just go on and try and see how we are able to canvass the matters of Bawku, because time is running out on us. But remember, this is your election headquarters. We'll continue on the MPP voting that is going on till the winner is known. Let's go to the Upper East region, and we're joined by Albert Sorry, our regional correspondent, the GJA overall best in that region, just like Erasto Sosare Donko overall best for the country here. Albert, thanks for joining us. Hello, Albert.
You're welcome, sir.
Great. So what's the situation in Garu and Timpane? What do you know about what led to the arrest of the 8 and the brutality to many that has brought this discussion up?
Okay, so on the 24th of October, it was a Tuesday, the residents of Garu noticed that a black Toyota Land Cruiser had been driving around the township throughout the day. Now, many of the residents did not recognize the vehicle or its occupants, so they were wondering who these people were and why they were driving around the township. But nobody had the confidence to confront them and ask them anything. Now, in the evening of that day, one of the youth of the area, while patrolling, or he was going somewhere, then he saw the same vehicle parked near one of the popular private schools in the area. At this time, it was late in the evening, so he called some other youth of the area, and he decided to get closer, knock on the window, and when they rolled down, he inquired to know who they were and why they had been seen driving around town throughout the day. And he was told that they were national security officials. At this time, they realized that there were 5 men in the vehicle. And so while he was questioning them, some other youth of the area joined him. And they asked that why was it that they hadn't been to the police station? If they say they are national security official, why did they not go to the police station? And why were they not in a hotel or a guest house and chose to park the vehicle at that place at that time of the night? Now, while they were doing this confrontation, they decided to go to the police station with them to find out if the police were aware of their presence and whether the police could identify them as national security operatives. So when they got there, the police took the men in, and after some questioning, the youth demanded to search, or that the vehicle be searched. Now, they found some weapons, guns. We cannot tell exactly the type of guns, but they were, weapons in the passenger seat of the vehicle. And so the youth demanded that the boot of the vehicle should also be searched. But these men said that the boot of the vehicle was locked, and so they could not open it. So in all this, back and forth at the police station, the police must have decided that for the protection of the occupants of the vehicle, they would take them inside the police station. So the youth of the area continued to stay outside of the police station because they wanted to get to the bottom of who these people were. Remember, before this, there were incidents where vehicles had been arrested in Bawku and its environs with guns and all of that. And sometimes the people also alleged to be national.
Albert's line just froze, but we're sure that we should establish back with him. There's another story, another side of the story that is being told, that actually they opened the boot and then there was a box, and they asked that the box should be opened up. And that's where the occupants of the vehicle protested that it would not be opened up. The residents apparently suspected that that box contained ammunition, and that it potentially they were going to supply it to somebody or some group within the place. So since they would not allow it to be opened up, that is where the problem began. Albert, are you stable now? We seem to have lost Albert there. But let's start with Inusa Husseini. You have heard what has happened, and now it's gone to Parliament, and thankfully the Speaker has ordered that the National Security Minister should appear before Parliament, and then afterwards they will know what will happen. Afenyo Marking led a process in the House yesterday, which we understand has led to the release of those that were arrested. Albert is back. Yes, Albert, you were just about concluding, getting to the end of the story. Hello, Albert. Unmute your mic, Albert.
Okay. Hello?
Yes, go on.
Yes, so that dawn, some people whom, as at now, they cannot identify, were firing gunshots towards the police station. We are told that the vehicle, that black Toyota Land Cruiser, was hit by several bullets, and the tires even got inflated. So the next morning, they called in the military. The military escorted these people out of Garu, and later they came to tow the vehicle away. Now, the youth had inquired from the district chief executive, who was not in town at the time, whether he was aware or whether he had been briefed about the presence of these people, and he said he was not aware of them. So according to the youth, they decided that, well, once the military had been called in and these people were escorted out, if there were people who were up to something fishy, the security would definitely get to the bottom of it. And that was the end of the matter for that day, until the dawn of last Sunday, when the military moved into the town in that operation, where a number of civilians, in fact, dozens of civilians, were brutalized in that case.
Briefly, what can you say about the situation in Bawku now?
So this morning, we are told that the 8 people who were arrested, now these 8 people were mostly leaders of the various areas who, from what I've been told, were only trying to calm the down when they had been agitating. And so because of the leadership role they were playing, they were easily identified and arrested. We're told that this morning they were released yesterday after some charges were initially slapped on them, including assault on public officials, possession of weapons, and use of offensive weapons. These were the charges that were initially given them. But it appears that those charges have now been withdrawn and they've been sent home. They should be arriving in Garu sometime this afternoon. Okay. And so that is the latest on this.
All right, we are pressed for time. I would have had us have an extensive conversation. Maybe we should do that later to find out what exactly is happening in Bawku still. Because it appears that whilst the conflicts remain unresolved, we seem to have forgotten about Bawku, that there is a situation there. And we are not doing what has to be done to resolve and bring normalcy to that place of the country. Yes, Honorable Minister Husseini, I had asked earlier, what have you appreciated has gone on, and what do you think ought to be done?
Well, I think that there's a fundamental lack of trust, lack of citizens' trust in the intelligence, security and intelligence institutions of this country, in particular the personnel. There has been an ongoing rumor that these personnel are largely responsible for the supply of illegal weapons to the citizens to be used in the conflict. And I think that was a trigger. The Garu Tempane youth thought that these people were there on an illegal, unlawful mission of supplying weapons. And that box that you referred to, which was at the back of the car, could not be opened because they suspected that it contained weapons, and that those weapons, the people were there to deliver the weapons to another faction or to trade off the weapons. Now, but I've been listening attentively to Albert Sori, and I've not heard him say that the vehicle was fired at. I've actually heard him say that he accompanied the people of Garu accompanied those who were in the car, the occupants of the vehicle, to the police station.
Even the other story confirms the same thing, but it ends at the point where, whilst they were at the police station, and the refusal to open that box,
yes,
they said the youth, it was late in the night, so they decided that they would sit there and wait. So they were sitting there.
Yes.
And then the police was providing protection for the occupants.
Yes.
And the containment.
The containment.
But they said later they found that they seemed to be, the police appeared to allow them to move. And that is where the firing began and the car was shot at.
Good. So you see, again, fundamentally, a lack of trust. Public institutions were behaving in such a way as to raise the suspicion of the citizens.
That's one side of the story.
That's one side of the story. But what is shocking,
also corroborated by the MP, Mahama Yaraga.
What is shocking and alarming is that the security minister, national security minister, justified the brutish and nasty assault.
He said they were shooting to kill the officers.
Yeah, he justified what they did, what the officers subsequently did, on an alleged, manhandling of the officers, and that they were being shot at. That is shocking, and that's why when Sori was speaking, I was listening attentively. Now, for whatever reason, the military have no authority. And let me state once again, this is a democratic country, it's a civilized country. The military, the security institutions have no authority on their own to exact punishment. They don't have. So what the military did when they returned to subject the people to that ill treatment was extrajudicial. Extrajudicial. And any person, any responsible citizen of this country must be condemning an extrajudicial approach to dealing with civilians. That can spiral out of control. And we've seen this spiral out of control. In 2006, Samson, you will recall, there was a gentleman, responsible and useful citizen of the North, Issa Mobla. He was wanted by the military. He responded. He drove his car to the police station to submit himself to the police. The police had no idea who was looking for him. They kept him at the counter bar. Subsequently, military men came and said they were looking for him. When they took him away, they returned his dead body. They returned his dead body. So, and we've seen where the military took the law into their own hands because they alleged that a civilian.
But only recently, a shaman.
A shaman. They don't have such authority. And for the Minister of National Security to justify what they had done.
The minister says there was an operation and the 5 men were deployed for counter-terrorism intelligence to Garu, and that was a critical and special operation. And they were attacked. That was on the Tuesday, October 24. Tuesday, October 24. The question now is, when they went back on 29th,
to attack them.
Now, on the 29th, what we are being told is that the operation on 29th was to retrieve AK-47 rifles that the youth had used to fire at the personnel.
And that's when they gathered them, laid them on the ground, and savagely beat them? Is that how you retrieve an AK-47?
You saw the operation in Asherman.
It was embedded in their bodies? That they were beating them to extract the AK-47s? What ludicrous explanation is this? No, I'm saying that, yes, no one disputes the fact that there are intelligence operations going on every now and then. I mean, every now and then. That is within the legitimate duty of the national security institution. And so when people embark on national security assignment, we should allow them to operate. But national security officers must not assume for 1 minute that they have the authority to take the law into their own hands.
Bernard, so Tuesday, the 24th, and then they go, now military go there on the 29th, and they are seeking to retrieve weapons. That's for our protection, is that not?
Well, I can understand that a minister who comes out to say that civil society organizations, the media, and some individuals are speaking in such a way as to occasion a coup d'etat will find solace in coming to defend what is untenable by the military in the brutalization that we saw in Garu. Probably in a way to stall that coup d'etat that he has been dreaming about, for which reason he has to attack all of you and the civil society organizations. Otherwise, this kind of story should not come from the Minister for National Security. The second part is that if you listen to the national security and the initial statement they made, they said that they have restored calm by the combined operation of the military and national security operatives. Do you restore calm by just going to beat people who were sleeping at the hour that the military entered Garu on the 29th, the Saturday to Sunday dawn from 2 a.m.? How many people were roaming the streets of Garu? You went and you beat people. And you know, excitingly, NPP vice chairman in the constituency have been beaten.
Mm-hmm. That's how it led to their release.
No, seriously. I spoke to many of them. I spoke to, I know that enclave very well. So I started speaking. I spoke to the MP of the area. I spoke to Basiru, deputy CEO for the YEA, and a number of people, and they were all livid about the actions of the military, and in particular, the pronouncement of the National Security Minister. We should not be taking situations like this for granted. For anything at all, it is the same national security that said that see something, say something, and do something. The people of Garu, they saw something.
Suspected
right?
that there was
they did something, and they said something. Will they have to be beaten and punished? Next time, they will see something and ignore.
See something, say something.
And do something.
No,
they did something. Let me tell you. They did something by saying that if you are in the police, if you are national security operatives, have you responded or reported to the immediate command in our jurisdiction? That is our police. So if you are national security operatives, please get to the police station. More importantly, haven't we, all of us, don't we know that national security persons parading as national security persons have been killed in the Bawku conflict, fighting for one group?
So they agreed, and they followed them to the police station.
So they followed them to the police station. But you see, when they have this suspicion, Samson, extend the conversation a little bit. When they had this suspicion, the people of Garu alone did not take it as their battle. So they started calling other communities. That look, these people all of a sudden say they are national security. But don't forget that in the past, some of the people that we managed to get were claiming that they are national security only to be fighting for one group. So if they are national securities, all the other youths from the surrounding communities were coming. So actually the Bawku, the Garu people, they had gone to the police station and they had left the police station. So when the other people coming from Bawku and other places to come and see who these national security persons were, they were told that, look, they put them in the custody of the police. But the people have gone, and that the vehicle, they could not allow them to open. And they said, if you leave them in the care of the police, we cannot trust them. They will come and take their vehicle and go. And that is where they vandalized the vehicle and, of course, shot into the tires of the vehicle so as to immobilize the vehicle. so that they cannot move. So in their view, they were still protecting themselves against. This is not anything that you or any of the security operatives could not have gone to the ground to go and check. Then on Tuesday, you leave and go. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. 6 days. On the 6th day, you go and round the youth, go into people's rooms, beat them. In some instances, we are even told that people's monies and other things were stolen.
The chief's palace.
You go there and did what you have to do. And you come and tell us that you did this to do counter-terrorism. If there was anything...
So that one they were doing to retrieve the AK-47s.
But common intelligence, the common intelligence would have told you that those who came to fire were not from Garu. They were those who were now coming from other communities to come and see the people who said that they were national security operatives, because national security has now been used to destroy and to attack the people of that enclave. So that suspicion that Inosa is talking about, that national security is of no value today, that party boys are carried into national security and they are being used to torment and to frustrate people, is responsible for the decay in security. That is why when Emil Short finished their also West Wagon report, they said that there is no coordination between and among our security. Yeah. In this instance, it is evident.
It's very apparent.
In this instance, it's evident.
What should happen?
Obviously, look.
The minister has been summoned to appear before Parliament.
What is the minister going to say? He will go and say that it's national
he will
security.
He will read the letter to them.
He will say that it's national security
So
and that national security issues cannot be discussed.
What should happen?
So they will go into conclave. And at the end of the day, nothing will happen. But the young people in Bawku have been beaten. And when I spoke to somebody, he said, look, they were struggling to even get the people to go and join Bawumia in Upper East for his rally. And now this thing has come, and most of them within the Garu area say that they will not go. So evidently, look, there is a decay in our national security architecture. Yeah. And under normal circumstances, Kandapa should have been resigning or be fired by now.
The things that people resign over, when you follow the news in the UK and elsewhere, you'll be misled. Yeah. This country doesn't happen that way. Let's go to Sule. Now, Sule, is it not a good reason? The minister is saying this happened, and we know that people use guns, AK-47s, and we know as a matter of fact there has been a lot of surveys that have shown that the Bawku is a place where there's a lot of guns, and they are going to retrieve the guns. What's wrong with doing that?
Well, Samson, I think that this conversation is unfortunate for me that there is just a little time to deal with this matter. Now, what happened in Garu has to be put in a certain context. I think that colleagues have already condemned what happened, and therefore I wouldn't want to hammer on that much. It's absolutely condemnable. Now, two things. One is that Garu is part of the Kusag traditional area. So when we talk about Bawku is a town, is the capital of the area, but we all know that the conflict in the area has now almost engulfed the entire Kusag area. In fact, you know very well that vehicles from Bawku have been attacked in Walewale. People have been attacked in Nalerigu, and this is northeast. And all these attacks are related to the Bawku conflict. So of course, the national security knows very well that the matter in Garu cannot be isolated or distinguished from what has been happening in Bawku. Now, why would people in Garu see a car and be suspicious? First of all, a V8 vehicle. This is a community that V8 vehicles are not common. It's not like Accra here where you see a V8 and it's normal. So they see it and they have suspicion. They go to the car and ask, as Albert was narrating. Now, Samson, the truth of the matter is that there has been a complete state failure. What many believe is just the government playing tricks on the people of Bawku in terms of the resolution of this conflict. and the government just not being serious about resolving the matter. Now, in February this year, there was this installation of a supposed chief in Nalerugu. The government quickly came out and said what had happened was illegal, and the state was going to ensure that the right things were done because what had happened could breach the security or escalate the security situation in Bawku. As we speak, the state and the government, for that matter, has refused to execute the warrant issued by the Bolgatanga High Court. And as it is, what it means is that the person who was purported to have been ensconced as a chief is still walking a free man. Initially, they said, oh, they couldn't find him. Later, there were pictures that emerged, and he was posing, taking photographs with police officers. When this incident happened, the initial suspicion by the people was that there was going to be a Damba celebration in Bawku by the Mamprusi community in Bawku. And then there are always rumors that, oh, they will smuggle the chief in. People need to be alert. They will smuggle the chief in. So when the car was first seen, in relation to the Damba, the suspicion that, according to the people on the ground, was that, oh, they are trying to get the supposed chief from Nalerugu through to Bawku, and so we need to be alert. And that was their initial suspicion that they engaged. Now, when they engaged them, people told them, well, they are national security people. And I think they did the right thing by saying, okay, let's go to the police. They got to the police, the people established themselves as national security people. So you would say that should be the end of it. Why would the people in the area want to confront national security personnel? But I think it is Bernard who has made the point that in the ongoing Bawku conflict, there have been several instances where people have been reported as national security personnel, and there are denials until some of them have been killed in the battlefield as warriors for one side of the conflict. And a classic case is a guy who was called Fatah Nambe. Before his death, there had been petitions to national security that, look, we suspect that this person who's the national security officer is supporting one side of the conflict and actions must be taken. It was always denied until one day he was shot on the battlefield as a warrior on behalf of one side. There was an incident where persons believed to be national security people wore military fatigue and went to one community and slaughtered about 13 women and children. Then we had this recent incident where the military shot and killed 9 unarmed persons who were in their garden, including a young child. So with all these developments, how do you expect that when people just identify themselves that, oh, we are national security people, then people should fold up their arms and say, oh, they are national security people? I think it is the state failure and the ongoing playing of games, with the situation in Bawku. Because how can the government and the state say that, look, we haven't been able to execute the court warrant issued for the arrest of someone? We have a situation where His Excellency, the President himself says, there is a Bawku Naba who has been duly gazetted and we recognized him. The Minister for Interior says there's a Bawku Naba who is duly recognized and gazetted. The former immediate past chieftaincy minister says there's a Bawku Naba who has been gazetted and is legally installed. All of them have said there is a Supreme Court ruling that affirms who is a Bawku Naba, and that Bawku Naba is the current Bawku Naba, Zugrana Abugrago Asegri Azoke. So the question is, how then do we have a situation where some people say we are fighting for chieftaincy, and then we say, oh, there's a chieftaincy conflict, and we've deployed the military to be there, and for months the state is spending huge amounts of money maintaining security in the area? Why are we failing to enforce basically the law? I think the question in Bawku now and what happened in Garu is a consequence of complete state failure complete failure on the part of the state to basically enforce our laws. What is happening in Bawku is a state of impunity. I think it was Bernard who also said that, so the next time they see a vehicle, as the Ministry of National Security say, when you see something, say something. They will see something and they won't say something. What I think is the case is that in the context of the Bawku conflict, this see something, say something will never cease. When there is anything suspicious, it would be raised. What happened would rather radicalize the people further, rather than trying to maybe resolve the matter.
I'm sorry, Sule can't hear me again, but our time is up. I need to get through at least just a minute. Thinking through and listening to everybody else on this issue, what do you think should happen, Theo?
Unfortunately, I'm not a security expert, so I'll leave that to the matters that way. But clearly, there's an issue with trust in institutions and trust, especially in the military. And I think Suleimana and others have done enough justice to that. But quickly, for the 1 minute I have, I kind of want to reference a couple of points that have been made, particularly the interview that the finance minister just made. Because for me, again, it's a bit worrying because he's still trumpeting this Russia-Ukraine COVID thing, and it doesn't look as though they're even admitting that they have caused a major problem, and they are part, to blame for all of that. To the extent that he made reference to a point being the quote-unquote resilience of Ghanaians. Which resilience? Impoverishing Ghanaians with haircuts and domestic debt exchange and all of that. I think, they should give Ghanaians a bit of credit and, understand and appreciate that a lot of things have changed. And if they really want to break the eight, it cannot be with that sort of posture. Over.
All right. Dr. Theo Champong, thank you very much. He's political risk analyst and economist. Thank you so very much for your insights. And Suleiman Ibrahima, Executive Director, Media Foundation for West Africa, seem to have read quite deeply and has better information on the Bawku situation. We should be able to dedicate some time to look at that. We are unable to look at our corruption matter once again. Yunus Hussaini is lawyer, former MP, Tamale Central, and former Minister Roads and Highways, also former Minister for Lands and Natural Resources. Bernard Ambatayala Mona is former national chairman of the PNC and convener, Arise Ghana. I'm Samson Ladia Yanini, the election headquarters squad, the best that you can ever have, are still here to take you through until the last vote is counted and the winner of the primaries for the NPP's flag bearership is known.